It looks like an ordinary army truck. 6 wheels, a boxy green cab, the kind of vehicle you would drive past on a highway without a second glance. But this truck can reach out 50 miles, drop a rocket through a single window, and disappear before the enemy even knows where the shot came from. They call it shoot and scoot, and it has quietly become one of the most feared weapons on the modern battlefield. This is the M142 HIMARS, the High Mobility Artillery Rocket System. And to understand why it terrifies an enemy, you have to forget almost everything you think you know about artillery. For 100 years, artillery meant one thing: heavy guns, dug into fixed positions, firing shells by the hundreds, and hoping enough of them landed near the target. It was loud, it was inaccurate, and it was slow to move. The gun that fired was the gun that stayed. And a gun that stays is a gun the enemy can find and destroy. HIMARS was built to break that rule. Its story begins in the 1990s. The Army already had a fearsome rocket launcher, the M270, a heavy tracked vehicle that looked like a tank and carried 12 rockets. It was powerful, but it was heavy, and it could not be flown quickly to a fight. So engineers asked a simple question: what if we put half the firepower on an ordinary truck, one light enough to fit inside a cargo plane? That truck became HIMARS. It carries 6 precision rockets in a single pod on the back of a 5-ton chassis. Each rocket is guided by GPS, not a spray of dumb shells. 6 individual satellite-guided strikes, each one able to land within a few feet of exactly where it was aimed. 1 rocket, 1 target. That is the entire philosophy. And that precision changes what artillery even is. The standard round is called GMLRS, a guided rocket that reaches out about 50 miles and comes down almost vertically, straight onto the coordinates it was given. Inside the nose is a GPS receiver and a set of small steering fins. In flight, the rocket constantly checks where it is against where it is supposed to be and nudges itself back on course the whole way down. The result is less like a shotgun and more like a sniper. In its combat debut, soldiers began calling the weapon the 70-kilometer sniper because it could reach far beyond the horizon and still put a single rocket onto a single building. 50 miles away, a crew punches in a grid location, and moments later, a command post, a bridge, a depot simply ceases to exist. The soldiers who fire it often never see what they hit. But the range is only half the story. The real magic, the thing that makes HIMARS so hard to fight, is speed. Not the speed of the rocket, the speed of the truck. A HIMARS crew is just 3 soldiers: a driver, a gunner, and a section chief. They roll into a firing position, a patch of road, a field, a clearing in the trees. They do not dig in. They do not build anything. The launcher rises. The fire control computer confirms the target, and in under a minute, the rockets are gone. Picture it from the gunner's seat. The truck lurches to a stop. On the screen, a target grid is already loaded. The launcher swings and elevates on its own, motors whining. A warning, a pause, and then the rockets leave the pod in a roar of fire and smoke that lights the whole position white. 6 trails claw into the sky, and the section chief is already shouting one word: move! Because before those rockets have even landed, the truck is racing away. Launcher down, back on the road, running for cover. By the time the enemy traces the smoke trail back to the launch point and fires their own artillery at it, that patch of ground is empty. Shoot and scoot. You cannot kill what you cannot find. This is what makes HIMARS so different from the massive guns of the past. It does not win by firepower alone. It wins by being impossible to pin down. A fixed artillery battery is a target painted on a map. A HIMARS is a ghost that appears for 60 seconds and then is gone. The military has a name for how they use that speed: HIRAIN, HIMARS Rapid Infiltration, and it is exactly as aggressive as it sounds. Here is how it works. A C-130, or a massive C-17 transport plane, flies a single HIMARS toward the front, sometimes landing on a rough forward strip in the middle of nowhere. The rear ramp drops. The HIMARS drives straight off the aircraft, moves to a firing point, and launches its rockets at a target that thought it was safely out of reach. Then the truck turns around, drives back up the ramp of the waiting aircraft, and the plane takes off again. The whole raid, land, fire, vanish, can happen in minutes. A precision strike delivered by air from a launcher that was on a different continent that morning and is gone before anyone can respond. And when the 6 rockets are spent, HIMARS does not retreat to rearm for hours. The truck pulls alongside a resupply vehicle, a crane lifts out the empty pod and drops in a fresh one, and within minutes the launcher is loaded and hunting again. The reload is part of the weapon, designed to keep it in the fight, not out of it. Now here is where the story gets bigger, because HIMARS can carry more than just those 6 rockets. Pull out the rocket pod, and in its place you can load a single, much larger missile. There is an extended range rocket that stretches the reach to around 90 miles. There is ATACMS, a heavy missile that flies nearly 200. And the newest, the Precision Strike Missile, pushes past 300. Same truck, same crew, same 60-second launch. But now the target can be a port, an airfield, a headquarters, hundreds of miles behind the front line. Think about what that means for an enemy. Anything within 300 miles of a HIMARS is potentially a target, and the launcher could be anywhere. It could be hidden in a tree line. It could be parked among civilian trucks. It could be sitting on a transport plane, waiting. There is no safe distance because the weapon that threatens you can move faster than you can find it. That is why, on battlefields where HIMARS has appeared, everything shifts. Ammunition depots that once sat comfortably behind the lines suddenly have to be moved far to the rear. Command posts scatter. Supply routes stretch and slow. An enemy does not just fear the strikes that land, they reorganize their entire war around the strikes that might. And the crews that do this are not a special cast of elite operators. They are ordinary field artillery soldiers, trained to do one thing with ruthless precision: arrive, confirm, fire, and be gone before the sky answers back. They rehearse it in the freezing Arctic, in the jungles of the Pacific, on the plains of Europe. The same drill over and over until 60 seconds feels like forever. Because on the modern battlefield, 60 seconds is forever. 60 seconds is the difference between a launcher that fires and drives away and a smoking crater where a launcher used to be. Every second the truck lingers is a second the enemy has to find it. So the crews live by the clock. Fire, move, survive. That is the quiet genius of HIMARS. It is not the biggest gun. It is not the longest range weapon in the arsenal. It wins by turning artillery, the oldest, most predictable weapon on the battlefield, into something that behaves like a predator, precise, mobile, invisible until the instant it strikes. So the next time you see a plain green truck rolling down a road, remember what one of them might really be, and how little warning the target ever gets. Would you have guessed it? Tell me in the comments what weapon you want us to break down next. And if you want more of the systems they do not advertise, subscribe to Eyes on Ops, and we will see you at the next file.